and Free Kevin Cooper Committee. Let's give it up for Rebecca Doran.
Can everybody hear me? All right, today as we stand in solidarity of the people of the world who are victims of America's wars for profit, more and more people in this country are opening their eyes to another war, and that is the war at home, where over 7 million human beings have been plucked from our communities to become property of the federal or state government, where over 2.3 million souls are locked in concrete and steel cages, and where over 3,500 people await death by lethal injection. Where our sister, Lynn Stewart, who is a human rights attorney and a fellow activist, was stolen from her family and thrown in federal prison for the crime of defending one of her clients who was an Arab and who was deemed by the U.S. government a terrorist. And where Mumia Abu Jamal was stolen from his community and from his friends and family and thrown on death row and awaits death by lethal injection simply because he committed the crime of being an honest black journalist. Friends, if you'll just take a moment to listen to the voices behind the walls of the prison, you will hear the people from your communities. You'll hear your own people like Kevin Cooper. Kevin Cooper is an innocent black man on San Quentin's death row who was framed up for a crime that 3 white men committed. DNA evidence found that Kevin Cooper is innocent, as well as eyewitnesses to the crime. And when Kevin's legal team recently went to the U.S. Supreme Court, they approached the Supreme Court with the question, is a man who was found guilty of murder but later found to be innocent still eligible for execution? The U.S. Supreme Court confirmed that he is. That is because we are living in the era of Bill Clinton's Anti-Terrorism Effective Death Penalty Act, where one judge actually said, innocence is no defense. Kevin Cooper, from his cell on death row, wrote a message to us today, and I'd like to read a little bit to you right now. From his cell, Kevin says, war is a state of mind where the us against them mentality takes over, and anyone who doesn't look or speak or act like us is destroyed by the powers that be. War is a rich man's game where everyone who is poor loses, no matter what side you're on. And Kevin ends with, enough is enough. Stop the wars now. Friends, free Kevin Cooper. Friends, today we have to begin to build a massive anti-war movement that will be capable of mobilizing millions of people, that will not only end the wars abroad, but will end this war at home, where we can begin to de-institutionalize our communities and heal each other and tear down every miserable prison in this country. Friends, free Kevin Cooper! Free Mumia Abu Jamal! Free Lynn Stewart! Free them all!
All right, let's hear it for her. Hey, hey, ho, ho, the occupation's got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, the occupation has to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho, the occupation has to go. All right, our next speaker is Marsha Fineland, and Marsha's representing the Peace and Freedom Party, and she's a candidate for the U.S. Senate for Peace and Freedom. Welcome, Marsha.
Hello, everybody. It's good to see you here. I was hoping you would be able to come a little bit closer because I wanted to ask you some questions. I wanted to find out why you're here and what you do. So I'll just have to ask you to kind of shout out. So is anybody here own a bank? No, nobody owns a bank? Anybody an arms dealer, an international arms trader? Jeff, you're an international arms trader? I don't think so. Anybody own a hotel? Own a construction company? How about anybody a teacher? If you're a teacher, yeah, how many teachers are here? Anybody drive a cab? How many people drive a cab? Anybody a carpenter or a mason or something like that? We have some carpenters here. We've got working class people here. It's not our war, it's their war. When Kevin Cooper says there's a war mentality and we've got to fight that, he's right. We've got to stop their war mentality because we need our own. We are actually in a class war. The owners, the rulers, the oil company executives, the international bankers, it is their war. It is not our war. All we are is cannon fodder. All we are is people who sacrifice our tax money, which ought to be going to our education, ought to be going to our public housing, ought to be going to our free, quality public health care. It's going to the war. It's going to their war. So it's time for us to wake up and talk to each other and organize each other, because we cannot be fighting their war anymore. We've got to be fighting our war, the class war. Now, somebody says, well, whose war is it? They say it's Bush's war and the Republicans started the war. Well, I'm not entirely sure that's true, because plenty of Democrats voted for it, and even the few that voted against it voted for the money for the war. But what's happening now? Now we have Democrats in the House, and we have Democrats in Senate, and we have Democrats in the White House running the place. Now it's their war. And even the Democrats who are the so-called good Democrats, let's see how good there are. Dennis Kucinich, probably one of the best of them. A lot of you probably registered Democrat just so you could vote for Dennis Kucinich for president. Well, he came up with a resolution to pull the troops out of Iraq. He could do that. Wait a minute. You know why he could do that? Because he could lose. Because he was going to lose. He was guaranteed to lose. Because in the Senate and in the House, the way they have it now, with the ruling class running both major parties, they're always going to have a war. They're never going to do what we want. What happened now with this health care bill? They call it a health care bill, a health insurance bill. It's a bill to guarantee insurance company profits. It's a bill to force you to buy health insurance if you don't get it from your employer. And if you do get health insurance from your employer, it's going to force you to pay more for it through increased taxation because you have a Cadillac plan. A Cadillac plan just means that you get decent health care and other people don't. So now everybody's going to have to pay for health insurance. Dennis Kucinich had to vote for that bill. When he didn't have to vote for it, he didn't. But the Democratic Party forced him to vote for that bill. It's time to get rid of the Democrats and the Republicans. Build a party for working class people. Go and visit the Peace and Freedom Party table, please.
All right. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. Let's hear it. Occupation is a crime from Iraq to Palestine. Our next speaker is Mahvash Nasahi. She's a peace and justice activist. Please welcome Mahvash.
Brothers and sisters, today people here around the world are demanding an immediate end to occupation of Iraq and Afghanistan. But we are also raising the demand of no U.S. interference in Iran. In 2003, Bush used excuses like weapon of mass destruction and spreading democracy to invade Iraq. But the truth is that Washington wanted regime change to control Iraq's oil. They wanted to build military